If there is nothing beneath Dulce, then why do so many people still speak about it like they're afraid of being overheard? In the empty high desert of northern New Mexico, there is a town surrounded by silence, wind, and miles of lonely land. A place where the nights fall hard, and the darkness feels heavier than it should. For decades, people have whispered that somewhere beneath the nearby Archuleta Mesa lies something hidden. Not a cave, not an old mine, but a buried facility. A place sealed on the rock and earth. A place tied to disappearances, strange lights, mutilated livestock, underground tunnels, and stories so disturbing that even repeating them feels dangerous. Most people call it a conspiracy theory. Others call it cover-up. But the reason the story of Dulce has survived for so long is simple. It does not feel like a legend that was invented. It feels like a legend that escaped. And the deeper you go into it, the worse it gets. The worse it gets. The town at the edge of Nuevo, Dulce, New Mexico, is small, remote, isolated. It sits in a rugged stretch of land, far from the kind of places where the world usually pays attention. The roads are long and exposed. The landscape feels ancient. And at night, the desert does something strange to the mind. It empties everything out. No city glow, no constant noise, no feeling that help is nearby. Just wind, distance, and the sense that if something happened out there, it could happen unseen. That is part of what gave the Dulce legend its power, because stories like this need the right setting. They need a place where secrets feel possible. A place where military vehicles on a distant road would go unquestioned. A place where a strange light over the mesa could be written off, ignored, or remembered for the rest of your life. And Dulce had all of that. At first, it was only fragments. A strange sighting here, a rumor there. Someone hearing sounds that seemed to come from beneath the earth. Someone else claiming certain areas were best avoided. Nothing solid, nothing official. But that's how stories like this begin. Not with proof, with atmosphere. And soon, the atmosphere around Dulce started turning into something far darker. The lights in the SCOE before people were talking openly about an underground base, they were already talking about the sky. Witnesses described unusual lights over the area near Archuleta Mesa. Not distant aircraft moving in straight lines. Not stars. Not weather balloons. These lights were set to hover. Stop. Shift direction suddenly. Shit. Then vanish without warning. Some appeared low. Too low. Some moved too fast. Too sharply. Too sharply. As if whatever controlled them did not obey the same rules as ordinary flight. In another setting, these reports might have faded away as local ghost stories. But here, in a place already wrapped in isolation, they began to gather meaning. Because the lights were not the only strange thing people were noticing. There were also stories of helicopters, unmarked vehicles, odd movements in restricted areas, and an unsettling feeling that something was being watched or guarded. The sky was only the beginning. Soon, attention turned downward toward the land itself, toward the mesa, toward the possibility that whatever people were seeing above Dulce was connected to something below it. And once that idea took hold, the legend stopped being about sightings. It became about access. The livestock cases. In the American West, stories of dead cattle found under bizarre conditions have circulated for decades. But around Dulce, those reports became tangled with something larger. Ranchers and locals spoke of livestock discovered in deeply unsettling states. The details changed depending on who told the story, but the emotional tone remained the same. Confusion, dread, and the feeling that something about it was wrong in a way that ordinary explanations could not satisfy. Predators did not seem to fit. Accidents did not feel convincing. And the longer these incidents were repeated in conversation, the more they became linked to the growing mystery around the area. For some, the connection was obvious. Strange things in the sky, strange things on the ground, strange rumors beneath the mesa. Separate details began merging into a pattern. Whether that pattern was real or imagined almost stopped mattering, because once the mind begins to connect isolated events, it creates structure. And structure becomes belief. Soon, people were no longer asking, "Why are strange things happening near Dulce?" They were asking something much worse. "What are they doing there?" And all of those questions led to one place. Arculeta Mesa. Arculeta Mesa. If Dulce is the name people remember, Arculeta Mesa is the image that stays with them. A mesa already feels unnatural in the way it dominates a landscape. Flat-topped, massive, silent, like something placed there rather than formed. And for years, believers in the Dulce legend have claimed that somewhere beneath that rock lies a hidden installation. Not a shelter, not a bunker, a complex, a vast underground structure with multiple levels, secure access points, laboratories, tunnels, and sealed zones that ordinary people were never meant to see. That image is the beating heart of the desert. A door in the desert. An elevator descending deep into the earth. Cold corridors. Controlled access. Machinery humming behind reinforced walls. Rooms with no windows because windows would mean there was still an outside. Some versions describe the base as military. Others say it was something shared, something joint, something operating at the edge of human authority, or beyond it entirely. No public evidence has ever confirmed those claims, but in a mystery like this, the absence of proof does not weaken the story. It feeds it. Because if the base were real, of course it would be hidden. Of course there would be no sign. Of course there would be denial. That is the psychological trap at the center of Dulce. The center of Dulce. The story uses silence as part of its own architecture. And the silence became even harder to ignore once certain names entered the story. The men who pushed the legend into the world. The Dulce mystery did not stay local. Yet, over time, it spread outward through UFO researchers, late-night radio, Underground publications, conferences, copied documents, rumors passed from hand to hand, and eventually the internet. And in the middle of that expansion were people who claimed that what was happening in New Mexico was bigger than anyone realized. One of the key figures often mentioned in the broader mythology surrounding the area is Paul Bennewitz. Bennewitz became deeply involved in investigating unusual aerial phenomena and covert activity in New Mexico. Over time, his beliefs grew darker, larger, and more alarming. Secret surveillance, non-human involvement, underground installations, hidden operations. His story is complicated because it sits at the crossroads of fear, obsession, and possible disinformation. Some later argued that he may have been exposed to false or manipulated information, pushing him deeper into a world of escalating belief. And if that is true, then the Dulce story becomes even more disturbing. Because then the question is not just whether there was a hidden base, it becomes whether someone wanted certain people to believe there was one, to confuse them, to distract them, to bury a different truth beneath a louder lie. That possibility changes everything, because misinformation is its own kind of haunting. It creates ghosts that feel real, doors that may not exist, memories that can never be verified. But one figure would take the Dulce legend further than anyone else. A man who claimed he had actually been inside. Thomas Castello. Among all the names tied to Dulce, few are as controversial as Thomas Castello. According to the legend, Castello claimed he had worked inside the underground facility beneath Archuleta Mesa. And what he described was not just a secret base. It was an entire hidden world. He spoke of elevators, traveling deep below the surface, multiple underground levels, advanced security, restricted laboratories, sections of the complex that, according to the story, were not meant for ordinary human work at all. His descriptions became some of the most repeated in the entire Dulce myth. Hallways, control systems, armed personnel, sensitive zones, biological research. Operations so deeply classified that the surface world was never supposed to know they existed. Skeptics reject his account entirely. There is no publicly verified evidence proving his claims in the way believers insist. But people remember Castello for one reason: detail. Because detail makes stories dangerous. A vague rumor can be ignored. A detailed rumor starts building rooms in your mind. You can picture the elevator. You can hear the metal doors. You can imagine the fluorescent lights, the heavy air. The feeling of descending farther and farther underground until the surface becomes impossible to reach. That is why his version of the Dulce story endured. He didn't just describe a theory. He described a place. And once people could imagine the place, great, they were ready to believe what might have happened inside it. The conflict below ground. As the legend expanded, it acquired something every enduring conspiracy story eventually develops: a breaking point, an event, a moment when the secrecy supposedly failed. In the case of Dulce, that event is often described as an underground confrontation. The details vary wildly depending on the account. Some call it a firefight. Some say it was a security incident. Others describe it as a violent clash deep beneath the mesa, one that resulted in casualties and forced the truth to be buried even deeper than before. This alleged conflict became central to the mythology because it gave the story weight. A hidden base is intriguing. A hidden base where something went terribly wrong is unforgettable. Whether the event ever happened in any real sense is impossible to verify. But as a narrative element, it transformed Dulce into more than a location-based mystery. It made it feel unstable. It suggested that whatever was hidden underground was not under control. And that is when a conspiracy becomes horror. Because secrecy is frightening. But secrecy failing is worse. It implies not just concealment, but danger. Not just lies, but consequences. But if the darkest versions of the story are even partly true, then the real horror of Dulce was never the base itself. It was what was allegedly being done inside it. The darkest claims. This is the part of the Dulcic legend that pushed it into nightmare territory. Stories of hidden laboratories, human experimentation, biological manipulation, subjects who were never meant to leave, programs that operated beyond ethics, law, oversight, beyond anything the public would ever tolerate if it were exposed. These are the claims that made Dulce infamous. And to be absolutely clear, none of them have been publicly substantiated by credible evidence. But they endure because they tap into a fear deeper than monsters. Betrayal. The fear that the real horror is not an unknown creature in the dark, but a system, an institution, a sealed facility run by people who no longer see human beings as human. That is why the imagery around Dulce remains so unsettling. I will commend not because it is confirmed, because it feels possible in the abstract. A hidden site, unlimited secrecy, no accountability, no witnesses, no daylight. That combination is enough to produce terror even without proof. And in legend, terror is often more durable than evidence. Because fear does not need documentation to survive. It only needs a place to live. And Dulce gave it one. But maybe the most unsettling thing about this story is not the claims themselves. It's the reason so many people were ready to believe them. Why the story took hold. It is easy to dismiss the Dulce legend as fantasy, but doing that too quickly misses the real reason it spread. Stories like this do not survive for decades unless they attach themselves to something already present in the public mind. And Dulce attached itself to several fears at once. Fear of government secrecy, fear of black budget operations, fear of hidden surveillance, fear that official explanations are often incomplete, fear that reality is managed, filtered, edited, before it reaches ordinary people. These fears did not come from nowhere. Modern history is full of classified projects that were denied until they were not. Operations hidden in plain sight. Experiments kept secret. Truths delayed until the damage was already done. That does not prove Dulce. but it creates the perfect environment for a story like Dulce to grow. Because once people accept that powerful institutions can hide big things, they start wondering how big the hidden things can get. A facility under a mesa, unmarked aircraft, restricted land, strange reports, silence from official channels. For some people, that does not sound impossible. It sounds familiar. And if the full story wasn't true, many still wondered whether it had grown around something smaller, something real. But the story of Dulce Base doesn't end here, because in part 2, we'll uncover the darker side of the legend, the alleged underground levels, the secret experiments, and the claims too disturbing to ignore. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in part 2.